you with me?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what I do. I like to just turn even before I do the figure eight and just kind of get my vertical axis true because that's the most important thing is that you know what balance is. And the only way to know that is to make sure you got your head screwed on straight.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I said, I like my head to go with my shoulders like this, which I think is easier. Nothing's easier anymore. When I like to leave my head forward and just feel my lower body turn underneath me.
Okay. Yep.
So I do all this stuff for a while until I crack a few things. Things feel good. I feel balanced. And then I go into my figure eight. The first thing I do is I like to keep it cool. I like to just start with my hands on my hips, but
Yeah.
I like to move really slowly and try and get big on the rounding of the corners. So I slide way out to the right and around the corner and then way out to the left. So that's what I do. And I do that every morning. And I kind of bend a little bit, bend from the waist, bend from the knees, and, try to feel like a surfer again, kind of like
Hmm.
that. And you should feel it.
Yeah, it's a great stretch. I've been sitting and working all afternoon, and it's
Yeah, you
nice,
should definitely
nice
feel
stretch.
it. So I do this for a while until I feel like I got it. And then I go extra slow too. A lot of times I think it's great to go super, super slow. I really believe in that. I mean, you watch a guy like Federer and he gets all that speed and power out of such slow motion. So then I do that. So then after that, I put my hands behind my head.
Yeah.
And I kind of pull up and stretch and feel a little levity, trying to make sure my head is still, vertical axis is still tight.
That's a good balance one.
Yeah, it just feels so good on my psoas and stuff. And on this one, I usually let my elbows go with me. Oh, I mean, I've already done this a couple times today, but any excuse to do it. We should do a class once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought about that quite a bit. Believe me, I did. I thought, oh man, that keep me young. Get all my
Yeah.
students rocking
Well,
and rolling.
you know what I did do with the swivels one day? I was doing I always do my vision therapy
Uh-huh.
exercises. And then I thought, huh, why don't I do it on the swivels today? And it was kind of a two in one, which was great.
That's true. That is true. So then the next thing I do is I put my hands behind my back and I just kind of grab one hand wrist with the other and I
Uh-huh.
roll my shoulders back. And I really like this one too. I like them all. Ah, because the way I figure it is the better athlete you are, and as long as you keep your brain together, the better you're going to do all this stuff. That's how I feel.
Yeah, this actually, it feels like all of a sudden my legs have like released. It feels, my hamstrings feel good.
Yep. Yeah, because there's those hamstrings those are tough. I think I had one once and I used the eight board to rehab and it worked very well for me. People were shocked. I was too, because I was in my 50s. Okay, then I go back on my, so then here's what I like to do. Now, look, if you're going to play, and I do this all the time, especially last week when I didn't want to even drive out of here, I did a lot of this. I see the red arrow right in front of me, and I know that's where my forehand really, really goes into. And I just focus on straight in front of me, and then remember that I'm lined up at the 45.
Yeah.
I do that, and then I do my backhand. And I make
Yeah.
sure my backhand, I don't rock through it. I go way out on it like that. Now that's if I'm going to play. That's what I'll do. And then, and I'll feel the volleys. I don't have to really do the volleys because I kind of am doing it just by doing a perfect figure eight, right? Backhand, forehand, smooth. Uh, so let's see. So then that's what I do, and I definitely do this. Always do my serve because that you got to loosen up your shoulders. Plus, I think all these things get you a nice connection from your, from the ground up. Really, the hips out, but it feels like the ground up.
Yeah.
And then I always go lefty, right? I always serve lefty. If you serve one way, you got to serve the other. Everything has to be symmetrical. That's why the hips, the back, all that stuff. So if I serve one way, I always serve the other. I'll even swim sometimes. But anyway, so then the next thing I like to do after that is, like I said, it's not a big deal. I just like to hold my hands out to the side and keep turning until I'm facing 180 and then hold it. That's what I like to do. And then I hold it and then I go to the other side slowly,
Yeah.
keeping your vertical axis true, not letting your head move. And you go 180 again. And that's it. And then lately I've been doing this. I've been keeping my hands on my hips doing the same thing. I don't know why. I just started doing this. Kind of feels good too.
Yeah, that gives a nice hamstring stretch.
And I really make it a point to, keep my balance. But I like a lot of super slow stuff, especially with these hips, especially when you're loosening up, try and feel, I don't know, like twisting vines, really, really pliable and round and vertical and everything, everything at the same time. Um, so yeah, that's honestly, that's